Wherever you are in the world or wherever you are on your journey, welcome to the Recovery Journey podcast with Horizon Behavioral Health, where we know recovery is possible and every day is a second chance. Are you struggling with substance use addiction or worried about a friend or a loved one? You're not alone in this fight. We're here with some special guests joining us from their unique place of recovery or a supportive role in helping others on their recovery journey. So today we're here to talk about recovery, and I know our listeners are hoping to hear from some of our brave guests who have battled with addiction and are walking their own unique journey of recovery today. One of those brave individuals is sitting here to my right, Michelle Thompson. Thanks so much for being here today, Michelle.
Thank you. I'm excited.
So Michelle is a member of our recovery community here in Central Virginia, and we are so excited to have her because she recently just shared what are you celebrating as far as recovery today?
13 months.
13 months. And that is quite an accomplishment. We are so ready. Yeah, we are just going to lend a little great grand applause there because, you know, I feel like what we've talked about with some of our listeners our listeners and our guests before is that sometimes the beginning can kind of be the hardest part. So talk to us. How has it been going so far?
It's been amazing. It really has. Like just the way I feel and overall, the way that I can even just look at myself and my family is with me. And I have a 1-year-old. She just turned a year old last week.
And what's her name?
Oakley.
Oakley.
My princess.
Sweet name. Oh.
Yes. And just seeing how great of a mom. I know she's still young, but just how awesome of a mom I'm becoming. Just how even my interactions with her. And it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
That's so wonderful. I'm excited to talk more about those 13 months of growth and all of the things it sounds like you've been learning in the process about yourself. And that's amazing. Yeah, I'm so looking forward to having more of a conversation about that today. And we also have here with us Kelli Griffiths. Kelli is one of our community partners from Centra. She is let me make sure I have this right, maternal and infant program manager at Centra.
Perfect. Yes.
Wonderful.
Happy to be here.
Thanks for coming. So talk to me a little bit about your role in the community as far as maternal health goes.
Yes, thank you. So I'm a registered nurse. I have been a nurse now for 11 years. I feel so old saying that. I'm actually seasoned now. But primarily my background is labor and delivery. And now I have transitioned into that role of maternal and infant program manager. So with that, thankfully, I have the honor and privilege to take care of moms and parents who have gone through a pregnancy and infant loss. I don't take that lightly. And I'm on various committees. And I'm honored to be here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. And we have enjoyed very much. I know everybody here sitting in the room, we've been able to work together over the last couple of years since Horizons Project Link team came underway in that new program. And so we've been able to, collaborate in helping serve some of our moms here in the community as well as their families and their kids. And it's just been so wonderful. So I'm looking forward to talking more about how that collaboration came about and everything that you guys have been able to accomplish together to help support our moms here.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful collaboration.
Oh, great. Love to hear it. And we also have here Katelyn Windsor, who is a certified peer recovery specialist. Hey, Katelyn.
Hey,
thanks.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for being here.
I'm excited.
Good. Well, we are so excited to have you. And, you and Michelle are bringing such a unique and wonderful experience to today's podcast. And, I was talking with somebody earlier and, in a joking manner, but truly the stars of the show here today. We are so excited to have this opportunity to really have a real conversation about things that honestly we're not talking enough about. And I'm sure you guys can agree, but being in your role as a peer, a certified peer, Katelyn, how have you been able to come alongside other moms that, are struggling with some of the same things that, you have your own experiences in?
Well, first off, I am 6 years clean.
All right.
Yes, it's been a long journey, but and the journey will still go on.
Yeah.
But I really, really enjoy the role that I have at with Project Link. I walk alongside them. I meet them where they're at. A lot of the girls, they're in different stages of their recovery, and so I walk alongside them, and because I know exactly what it feels like.
Yeah.
I know, I know what addiction, addiction is like.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. And, we were not meant to unpack these things alone. So, to know that there's different folks with different backgrounds that are, coming alongside women who are struggling in the community to support them. Let's talk a little bit more about, the conversation around women's mental health as we're talking about substance use addiction. So, what are we seeing out there in the community? What are you guys seeing as you're working with folks? And, as we're all a part of that mom community, right? So, let's talk a little bit about what's happening here in Central Virginia.
As of yesterday, I heard a statistic that it used to be 1 in 7 moms have some sort of mental health disorder in their postpartum period, but now it's 1 in 5. So maybe it was that all along, but maybe it's more because of COVID. But I'm thankful that it's known that it's not, you shouldn't feel that you're alone. It's many moms that are going through different PMADs, different mental health disorders.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know so often that mental health and, substance use addiction is linked, right? So it's also so important that we do, you're right, Kelli, have a conversation about mental health and how that plays into it. So what do you guys think is the link between motherhood and substance use? Is there one?
Personally, for me, it was a way to escape. It was a way to be numb. I was going through so much trauma through most of my life that I needed a way to be able to deal with it instead of doing what I should have done all along. And I did try to do a few times, was reach out instead of trying to. I always thought I was trapped. So therefore, my life just kept getting more negative and negative. And I never knew a way for it to get positive or where to even start to try to change it for the better or change it at all. There was times where I had no hope in anything. And from where I'm at now, looking back then, it pains me to see that that's how I was. And I just wish I had, at the time, I knew I was using because of my mental health and because of my living situations. But I wish I would have been more serious about it instead of just letting it play on and on and on and on until I was beyond rock bottoms everywhere.
Yeah. So when would you say you finally found yourself in a place where you started to see a glimmer of hope, right? And kind of, a chance to get out of that cycle?
When I was pregnant.
Yeah. Okay. Could you tell us a little bit more about that phase of, life and that time for you?
I didn't find out I was pregnant until I was 27 weeks.
Okay.
So the fact that I had been using so much that whole time and didn't know, that really hit me close to my heart. And it still, unfortunately, took me a little while to get clean. And I was in such a bad living place, and there was some dealings going on with my daughter's father. And I finally got clean, unfortunately, 3 weeks before she was born. But the fact that I did that, and it was unfortunate too, after I had her, that CPS was getting involved because of my use during. But I went ahead and I ended up moving far away, cutting everybody off, isolating myself, and got focused literally just on my daughter. And I did what CPS required me to. So I got them off my back, and it just, the more time that, a few weeks turned into a couple months, a couple months turned into a year.
Hmm.
And as the time goes on, it feels more and more amazing.
Mhm.
And like Katelyn said, it's still a battle. It really is. It's a lifelong battle
Mm-hmm.
because it was so easy just to do it before
Mm-hmm.
that. But luckily with my little one, she's my savior.
Mm-hmm.
She is my hero that I can't, I'm so fearful of messing up
Mm-hmm.
that's what drives me to keep doing what I'm doing.
That's amazing. And if I could just take a quick pause just to say how much I admire everything that you had to go through and taking those steps. I can't imagine the challenges that accompanied a lot of those changes that you had to make in your life. And I have to tell you how much I admire that. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So wonderful. And so you talked a little bit too about some of those barriers that got in the way. And we know that a lot of moms struggle with a lot of different kinds of barriers, right? When we're thinking about having kids in the equation and, how do we even take care of our own health, our own mental health, our own, challenges like substance use addiction. It's challenging. And so I know Katelyn's role, is to kind of support women, right, that are kind of experiencing some of those barriers. What are some of those and how are you able to assist as a peer?
So, a lot of transportation is a big barrier for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so, as a peer, I will come alongside, and I can transport them to their doctor's appointments, to their therapy appointments, and yeah.
Yeah, transportation, I imagine, would be really, really challenging. And I do believe Horizon's Project Link program also provides childcare.
Yes,
Is that right?
Yes, they
yes, we do.
Yep.
We do.
Sounds like that's been super helpful for you, huh?
At times.
At
There's
times.
been a time or two we've had to have her in the office too. But
Yeah.
Katelyn's definitely, she's picked me up a couple times, taken me back home just so I could make it to appointments. And
That's so wonderful.
one thing that's great with her too is if you're nervous about doing anything in the community, she can be right there with you.
That is so
Wow.
wonderful.
Well, just because I've literally walked the same. I mean, the path may have been different, but I've
Yeah.
walked, I've had some of the same
Yeah.
obstacles as these women have. But I also wanted to add, I believe that when it comes to addiction and mental health and stuff like that, for me,
Mhm.
I believe that you have to take care of your mental health first
Yeah.
before you can even address the addiction piece. And Shiloh will be able to, go into more depth about that from the therapeutic standpoint. But with my experience, I had to take care of my mental health and get stable before I could even think about getting clean.
Yeah, absolutely.
I heard someone say yesterday that just like the airlines say,
Yes.
put the mask on yourself before helping others. And I think that's such a great metaphor for mental health, for motherhood, to take care of yourself.
Absolutely. And as we're talking about the importance of self-care in recovery, Kelli, I know you've come out to support our Muffins with Moms event that we've done here recently. And at that event, you've talked with some of our moms about conflicting emotions that often accompany motherhood during challenging time. And I would love to know, what kind of suggestions do you have out there for mom as they're struggling through all the different emotions and things that come alongside this huge life transition?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Motherhood is a range of emotions. And so I would say some of the biggest things to do is to have multiple layers of support.
Mm.
So whether that's your partner alongside friends, family, maybe a church, your coworkers, and then just finding what fills your cup.
So, Kelli, could you tell us about some, what are some ways that we can take care of our self-care as moms?
Yes. So recently I've found that, I like to walk. And so we have a really great neighborhood for walking and sidewalks. And so sometimes I'll tuck my kids into bed. And, with the summer hours, you still have daylight for a long time. And
Yeah.
so just listening to a podcast, or I've got a good one for you. Listening to a podcast or, something that's inspiring to me, some music, and walking around the block, getting those endorphins up.
Vitamin D.
Yes, vitamin D.
Yeah.
Taking that shower.
Alone? You mean uninterrupted?
Yep.
What?
I know, it's rare, but it happens sometimes. And one thing I've found in the last few years that is really powerful to me and the moms and families that I work with is just saying no sometimes. That can be a form of self-care.
And challenging.
It can definitely be challenging, but sometimes you just have to say that, and it's a full sentence, no.
I love it. We should all practice that. No. So what I'm hearing from you, Kelli, is that a listener that may be tuning in today might support a mom who they think may be struggling, whether it's mental health related, or, even potentially battling a substance use addiction or any kind of addiction, is actually just reaching out and helping them by giving them time alone. Right?
It's definitely helpful.
So that they can practice some of those self-care techniques. I know sometimes we just really struggle with, how do we help somebody, when maybe they don't know how to ask for it, right?
Right.
And sometimes it is really hard to ask for help. Is that something that, either of you, Katelyn or Michelle, that you guys have kind of had to work your way through, is being able to say, hey, I need some help in this area? I know it's something that I really struggle with, especially as a mom.
Yes, I can definitely say it's for me, it's like a ego thing. It was an ego thing. To ask for help, it meant that, if I was hungry, for instance, and I was embarrassing to ask for a food box. Like that's really embarrassing, or, not being able to take care of medical bills. So yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. And I think part of it too is, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but as a mom, we do have this innate sense that we want to provide for, those that we love. And sometimes we just can't be all things, right, to everybody and, have everything that we need. And so, yeah, it's so important to be able to know where to go in the community to ask for that support.
Right. And I think also that with the season of motherhood you're in, you'll need different things. So for me, when I had a miscarriage, I didn't want to be alone often. But now, I cherish the alone time with, two wonderful blessings that I have. And so it's just what you need in that season of life. It's not wrong. It's just what your body needs.
So Michelle, let's talk a little bit more. Let's get back to talking about your recovery journey. And it's been, I'm sure, at times feeling like a long 13 months, but then also feeling probably like very, very fast as well. So
Yes.
Yeah, talk with us a little bit about what that journey has looked like for you.
Luckily, even though I've had my bad days, my days of struggle, thankfully with my daughter, because I am a single mom, very, very single mom. So a lot of times most of the time it's just me and her 24 hours a day. And there's been times where on those bad days, I can just look to her, and when she smiles, it's like worlds of weights are just lifted off of me. And sometimes when I'm feeling anxious or I have cravings or something, or in the nighttime, I've come to the point where I have relapse dreams.
Oh, okay.
A lot. And it's crazy because I didn't know that could happen.
Yeah.
And I wake up in a sweat and I can just look over at her and I'll pick her up out of her bed and hold her. Or during the day, I'll wipe my slate clean in my mind, put everything on the back burner, and I'll just pick her up and we'll fly around the house and we just get silly and dance. And she's been a lot of my help through it. So some days it's almost been like smooth sailing. Without her, I would not have been able to do this as easily as I have.
Hmm.
If I didn't have her, I probably would have relapsed hundreds of times.
Mhm.
If I even had decided to get clean or to work on my mental health.
Mhm.
But it had gotten to the point where when she was first born, like I said, I was isolated. I was in a new environment. I was a newly single mother of an infant.
Mhm.
I know how bad my mental health can get.
Mhm.
And so when it got to the point where I was laying in bed and she would cry for 20, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and it took everything in me to get out of bed.
Mm.
After a couple weeks of that, I finally just said, I can't do it. I
Mhm.
cannot do this. I cannot be a mother like this. I cannot afford to spiral down even more.
Mhm.
And then that's when I finally just started. I was texting family. I said, I'm drowning. I don't know what to do.
Mm.
And so finally, that's when I got a hold of a couple people and they referred me to Horizons.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
they've been just, oh my goodness, it's amazing. They're amazing.
Oh,
They are your biggest cheerleaders. They're great. I wouldn't have been able to do it without them either.
Oh, wow. I'm so glad to hear you say that. And what would you say to some moms or listeners who may be here listening that are in that space where, you had found out you were pregnant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you were still like not sure, okay, what am I going to do? Right. And, baby isn't here yet, right? Sweet Oakley. She's on the way, but she's not here yet. And, how did you get through that time? And what might you share to some listeners that may be facing that upcoming and are just kind of in that boat of like, not sure what they're going to be able to do and are
Yeah.
maybe just looking for some encouragement?
I would say at the time before she was born, I was living in a condemned house with basically a bunch of drug addicts. It was just the most horrible situation I could have found myself in.
Mm-hmm.
But again, she didn't ask to be here. And so I was going to take all that was wrong and do everything I could to make it right, to make up for the wrong I had done before I became a mom. And my advice is nothing is impossible. The word itself says I'm possible. If you feel trapped or you have, even kind of like I did, it was just those endless nights of crying my heart and soul out, think I had no hope, saying this is how life's going to be. It's never going to get better. But it does.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. If you don't know where to start or if you're scared of the unknown or the challenges you might face, just reach out. There's somebody somewhere that can guide you to that next step, that, can be that pillow to soften the blows that life is going to throw at you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just reaching out somewhere, even if you're not sure if you fully need help. That's a start in itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what I did, even though I had so many different biases and opinions about what I wanted or needed. I now have my path.
And I'd love to follow up by asking you to share with us and of course our listeners, what has been one of the most special memories you have made as a mom so far?
Oh my goodness, I could talk all day on memories now. But what I'm loving is more of the bigger picture of things. And it's the fact that I'm always going to remember how she and I are figuring out as we go and able to witness us, growing and learning together and as individuals. The fact that we have this bond, and it's so special. And that's going to follow me from yesterday, today, tomorrow, and until the end.
That's amazing. I'm so glad to hear that you're enjoying motherhood so much, especially after how hard you have worked to find yourself where you are today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good for you. And Katelyn and Kelli here, let's talk a little bit more about, how can we encourage our listeners to play a role in supporting a person who we believe may be struggling with substance use addiction and possibly co-occurring mental health disorders. Whether that's in your role or, maybe it's in somebody's personal life.
I would definitely say reach out to someone in healthcare because a lot of us talk. And as far as resources, not talk about patients, but talk and say, I know someone who can help you. And if anything, they'll at least listen, and just venting will help.
Yeah, absolutely. And like having conversations, right? I think we've definitely gotten better in the world, right, about having some of these hard conversations, but it still can be kind of intimidating to kind of bring up a topic, right? Like I know that there's definitely stigma, unfortunately, around like if you bring something up that somebody's going to be offended or you're going to put an idea in somebody's head. What kind of feedback do you have for folks that are really nervous about reaching out to somebody because they don't want to offend them or just not sure what to say?
I would say encourage self-confidence.
Yeah. What does that look like?
Well, again, I know I have walked some of the same paths as these individuals. So, just letting them know, like, if they have, like, a lot of them don't have driver's license, they don't have, it's a lot of things that they don't, that they just don't have.
Yeah.
And so, that's part of my role is, I encourage that. So if it's just if it's just to go shopping and get your groceries, that's, that is what we do as adults and active members of the community. And so, yeah, I just encourage them.
We're never short on somebody to kind of pour into our lives and give us some confidence, right? I feel like we don't usually get that enough as moms.
Exactly.
I think we certainly can tend to be very self-critical just by nature because, we want to be the best for our kids, right?
I wish I had found people to help give me confidence like I have now. Like
sooner, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Like I said, people at Horizon, any little thing you do, they're like, woo, woo. Like they are there. And it's amazing because unfortunately, I have had the confidence literally beat out of me throughout life. So when I talk about self-esteem, confidence, it's like this big. So any little thing just feels awesome now.
Well, you're a hero in my book.
Thank you.
And I'm sure Oakley will say the same thing when she can talk.
She absolutely will.
And that's my biggest goal. I want her to be proud of me and proud to have a mom like me. So I'm going out of my way, whether I think I need the resources or I think I need this, I have it all in my back pocket because I'd rather have it, not need it, than need it, not have it.
So as we're talking about goals, right, and goal setting, I know we have got Shiloh Martin here with us. She's Horizon's Project Link coordinator.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I would love for you to talk a little bit more about, goal setting. And as far as therapeutic services, that's a big part of our Project Link program, right? So maybe you could just talk to us a little bit about overarching, what kind of services are available to women in that program. And, is goal setting, something that's a part of, what we work on with moms when we're thinking about self-care and also taking care of, their kids and their family, right?
Yeah, definitely. So when it comes to services with Project Link, we offer individual group therapy. So what that looks like is somebody comes in and they set specific goals of what they want to work on in individual therapy, as well as then there's options for group therapy. Other services that we provide is specialized case management services. So the client or individual would meet with a case manager and set specific case management goals, as well as then when they're connecting with Katelyn, our certified peer recovery specialist, then they can explore with her what is it that they want to be working on or what are some of those barriers. Something specific that I think is unique in regards to goal setting within Project Link is we definitely work together as a team. It's not uncommon within therapy with me for me to say, like, hold that thought, and I'll step outside and I'll say to one of our case managers, can you please print me this information? Can you please order this for this person? So then that way they can leave there from therapy with me or from that meeting with the case manager, and they have that food box. They have that resource for housing. They have that phone number for the OBGYN or whatever that looks like.
Wonderful. And as we're talking about those wraparound services, I know collaboration in the community is a big part of how we make that happen, right? And I know we've got Kelli here from Centra. And so could you guys talk to me a little bit about, how do we work together to identify women who might be a good fit for a program like this?
That's a great question. So with my primary program being perinatal loss services, sometimes moms are in the Project Link program, and maybe they've had a loss.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that, they're still a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so they still need the resources of Project Link and the wraparound support of Project Link. But I can come alongside them and do follow-up phone calls, tell them about other support groups, nationally, virtually, locally, and just make sure that they feel not alone in their grief journey.
That's amazing. And Shiloh, do you have more to add as far as how do we connect with women who may be struggling, haven't had the opportunity to reach out just because they don't know where to look or where to go or who to tell, or maybe they're just nervous and don't know if they want to, share what's going on in their life?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that through our partnership with Centra, that we have been able to identify some of those women when they're coming in for things like prenatal care,
Mm-hmm.
when they're coming in for things like follow-ups, and when they're addressing medical challenges that they're having. So we have Kelli here today, but then we also work with other individuals at Centra too. We work closely alongside our perinatal nurse navigator, who will navigate some of those pieces. And so she will give me a call, and she's like, "Hey, Shiloh, I'm referring this individual to the program." And so because I recognize that this individual is pregnant and she has these significant needs, then myself as well as Katelyn is able to initiate some of that, is able to get them connected with our admissions department to get services rolling.
So somebody here in the Central Virginia community could say, find out they're pregnant, start making those, natural next step appointments as far as, Centra would be involved, right? And, you go to your OBGYN or whoever it is that you want to, make sure everything is going smoothly. And you can, at that point in time, let them know, hey, this is something I think I may be struggling with, or this is something I've even struggled with in the past, right? Since we know that motherhood is such a huge life transition, a lot of stresses come with that. We can always have those conversations with providers such as those at Centra, right?
Right.
That, let them know like, hey, I'm a little worried that this may kind of surface things that I think I have a good handle on, but I also know, I'm not an island and support is never a bad thing. So, and do you find that, women are able to have those conversations and that referral process works out really smoothly?
I think it is getting easier for women to have these conversations as mental health is being talked about more.
Yeah.
And the intake nurses, shout out to them at the local doctor's office and midwife offices, because they're the first line, and they see those intake nurses before the provider.
Mm.
And so a lot of times they'll get the direct call from, the perinatal nurse navigator will get a call from them, or Shiloh will get a call from them. And so that's how, the sooner the better we can, help them. It'll help, their baby in the long run.
Absolutely.
And sorry, I have one more thing to add.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to say is that we are really excited about relaunching this past January, the Maternal Health Collaborative in Lynchburg. And so it's about 20 to 25 maternal health leaders that regularly attend. And it has been so collaborative, and most of our conversations have to do with maternal mental health. Not all of them. Sometimes there'll be resources, maybe about shelters or something like that. But even from the first time, the case manager for our Women and Children's Services, that week after the meeting, she had already had to reach out to a couple of the partners in that collaborative that she never knew about until that meeting. And so it just goes to show that we should decrease the silos of doing the work alone and really collaborate is best for the patients.
I'm so glad you shared that. And it's so humbling to know that there is so much collaboration happening behind the scenes here in our community, that we know that it's building the foundation to have these wraparound services that we know are going to support women. And we talked a lot about what some of those look like. And I'd love to circle back to Michelle, as we were talking about some of those wraparound services, having been able to receive some of those things, is there any experience or specific service that you remember was just really life-saving at the moment, or any kind of experience you want to share as far as?
So far, all of it has really been life-saving. And it's crazy. We were talking about how you can, you know, going through the doctors like the OB and everything when you find out you're pregnant, how they can help out reaching out other places. Because while I was pregnant, my OB actually referred me to the perinatal navigator for Centra Health.
Mm-hmm.
And then she referred me to Shiloh. And at the time, I was all for getting the help and everything. And then I had, again, just some nervousness. I didn't know how they could help me and everything else. So I steered away from that. I'm glad I'm back now. But with Project Link, I'm doing my regular counseling services. I have a case manager and I'm doing med management. And so I always had the stigma of meds because I've been on medicines for 20 years plus. And I never liked my medicines. I never liked the way they made me feel or having to take them all the time. But being able to have somebody that is right there in my corner to say, hey, you might need to go ahead and do this. If you don't like the way this feels, we could try this out. But being able to have finally a nice dosage of things for all my needs, while also getting the therapy so that maybe I can go ahead and work through some of my stuff in therapy to where maybe I won't have to be so dependent on my meds. And then case management, she's been amazing. She's been great. I mean, literally any and anything that I might need. I haven't had to use her for much, but still knowing that she still checks in and says, hey, is there anything you need from me? Because I have things legal stuff I've been talking about with her, like when it comes to my daughter. So she's right there and she's got this list of resources. She's got this list of everything. She can tell me from one end to the other about what I might need to do, what I might need to go, who I might need to talk to. So just the whole thing with Project Link, and I had heard about it while I was pregnant, but I didn't fully understand the
level of support.
Correct.
Yeah.
And now that I know, I wish I give anything to go back and had gone ahead and gotten more into it.
Well, I'm sure that you're not alone in those feelings, Michelle. And I'm so glad that you touched on the stigma that there is sometimes around even just the word treatment, right? I know we're in 2024, right? And let's be honest, everybody that's listening in, everybody here, we're all addicted to something or struggling with something, or, we need support in a ton of different areas in our lives, which again, just really highlights the need, which you shared in your own experience about having those wraparound services. So ladies, I'd love to just talk a little bit more about what can we do to, try to quench the stigma that so many times surfaces when conversations might be coming up around treatment, or could be around addiction in general, but just treatment alone.
Yeah, I like to remind patients, like Michelle was saying, that you can have both therapy and medication. And so it doesn't just have to be one. It's whatever you need in that moment, that year, month.
A key point with what you were describing, Kelly, was sometimes people need both. Sometimes you just need one. And sometimes, as Michelle was describing, it can look like starting with both and kind of moving towards just having the one. And I think that that can be really beneficial. And we've been very fortunate with the psychiatrist that she has worked directly with us with Project Link. We kind of have that direct line with her of, hey, I have this individual and she's pregnant. I'd like for her to be seen as soon as possible, because that's definitely a common theme within Central Virginia as well as across the state of Virginia, is difficulties getting in with medication providers, specifically in regards to psychotropic medication. And so we've been able to do a lot of collaboration with her, which has been great too.
And again, just breaking down those barriers, which is so important, because when we remove challenges away from the path that people are walking, it just makes them all that more able to succeed and succeed faster, right? So we don't have to waste time and, compromise the things in their life that, may be time sensitive, right? Like, your child, right?
Yeah. And that's what it took me a while. It took me a little while to finally say, because again, I didn't want anything to do with meds or any of that. And I didn't know what kind of help I needed. But finally, I just had to say to myself, I can't do it all. If therapy wasn't just enough, or if I'm still struggling to get out of bed or to do anything I need to do, whether I want to or not, maybe I do need something added. When I have my restless sleep at nights because my PTSD, I have nightmares. I can't keep having nightmares when I have an infant in the bed beside me. I can't keep kicking the sheets or kicking her bed and screaming out. It's just, I need to do what was best for me to be the mom I wanted to be.
And I think also a key point in what you're describing, Michelle, is if you're having issues with your blood pressure, you would take the medicine in order to be healthy,
right? Without a second glance.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so keeping those things in mind, right? Like you're describing, like, I don't want to be keeping her up, or I want to be able to be the mom that I can be, and you can be, whether that's with or without medication.
So ladies, to wrap up our conversation here today, what kind of advice would you have for any moms who are listening who may be struggling?
I think the first point would be reaching out. We heard Michelle describe, just in looking back, how she wishes that she would have connected prenatally. And that's my hope for a lot of the women that we serve. And that's my goal for our program, is being able to connect with more women when they're pregnant. I hear Michelle's story over and over again with so many women in our program after they've delivered, and they're like, oh, I should have connected earlier. And so my hope and my advice for women would be reaching out if you need the support.
And to dovetail off that, I would say that the more you talk to people, the more you figure out that either they or someone they know have been through it.
Yeah.
And so that empathy really comes out, and that support and encouragement when they know how hard you're working, or how hard and motivated you will work, once you get the appropriate resources. So again, reach out and just start talking to someone.
Yeah, you are not alone. No matter how different you think your story is, there's probably a million other that, come to find out, they're not far off from your story.
Well, I'd like to thank each of you on behalf of Horizon and our listeners for being a part of today's discussion and being willing to have difficult conversations in hopes that someone listening can benefit from what you've experienced and learned along the way. To our listeners who have tuned in today's episode, thank you for inviting us into your car, into your day, into your run, or whatever it is that you're doing. Maybe it's your lunch. We just want to say thank you. And let's not let the discussion end here. So go home, have these conversations with your friends, your families, and in your communities. And as you do, know that we are here celebrating recovery alongside you, loudly and proudly.
Thank you for joining us on the Recovery Journey podcast with Horizon Behavioral Health. Remember, our greatest triumph is not in never failing, but in rising up every time we fall. If you live in Central Virginia and you or a loved one is ready to reach out for help, call Horizon today at 434-477-5000 to schedule your first appointment. Let us walk this journey with you, and together we can find hope and healing on the horizon.